found a game that was meant to be forgotten. Have you ever played a lost game where it's like nobody else heard of it? A title that feels like it exists in its own quiet corner of the internet with no community around it. Because nowadays, that almost never happens. Every game finds an audience eventually. The algorithm picks it up, someone makes a short on YouTube or TikTok, a video essay blows up and suddenly everyone's talking about it. There's always a pipeline to bring a game to light if it's good enough. But what if a game feels so lonely and lost that it never gets any of that? What if that loneliness is exactly the point? Silt is a game that came out in 2022 and most people missed it entirely. It's a short, black and white underwater puzzle game by a small studio called Spiral Circus Games. And there's just something about being alone in a game that the world forgot. It's not the same type of loneliness of an empty multiplayer lobby where you can feel the absence of people who should be there. It's quieter than that, more personal. Silt is about the heavy feeling of being small and alone in a world so big and so ancient that your presence doesn't register. And it built that feeling so completely that by the time it was over, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so many years later, I still haven't. In endless depths, Goliaths roam. Hunt them down, remove their eyes, for this is where their power lies. With this mysterious prophecy, we start the game as a diver tied to the bottom of an ocean that has no visible surface. She doesn't need air. The game never explains why, but it's a relief to never have to worry about oxygen in an ecosystem this hostile. The prophecy tells us what our goal is, but again, we don't exactly get an explanation on why. There's nothing about who this diver is or why she's tied down to the bottom of an abyss. The mission is clear, but the meaning is completely absent. And honestly, knowing we're one of the few people that get to experience it helps with that overwhelming feeling of dread. But being chained here is just the start. To get free, the game hands us its one mechanic: possession. There's a piranha swimming nearby, so we push the diver's consciousness out of her body, slip inside the fish, and bite through the chain. And now we're free. Or so it seems, because the next area we enter looks strangely flesh-like. The walls are rigid and organic, and if you listen closely, there's the faint sound of a heartbeat somewhere in the dark. The path ahead is blocked, so we'll need to use possession to find a way through. And the mechanic is immediately more interesting than it sounds. In a pure gameplay sense, it's clean. Different creatures do different things, and puzzles are built around matching the right animal to the right obstacle. I can possess a hammerhead shark to break through what looks unmistakably like a bone. And as I swim past the diver's body just hanging there, motionless in the water, I genuinely feel a little unsettled by the implications. Maybe it's the silence, nothing but the water and that faint heartbeat somewhere in the walls. Maybe it's just how lonely this game feels from the first minutes. It's disturbing, but not nearly as disturbing as the realization of where we actually are. There's this strange fleshy structure, which is the last thing we see before we exit, and we escape through the mouth of a sleeping leviathan. The camera pulls back and back and back. This thin ink figure we're playing as emerges from the mouth of something colossal. And this is the first time Silt shows you what it's actually about. Because from the introduction, it would seem it's about the possession feature or the different puzzles. But what it's really about is scale. The specific horror of being a small thing in a world built for enormous monsters. And it was exactly this moment when I knew I was going to finish this game. After emerging from the mouth, there's a strange glowing light drifting in the water ahead. It moves slowly when we get closer, and then it starts leading us through narrow tunnels. And look, if you know anything about deep-sea creatures, you already know where this is going. A glowing light in the deep ocean that wants something to follow it is never a good sign. Sea worms start chasing us through the tunnels as we follow it deeper into the dark, until the light leads us into a cave cave and disappears. And then it reveals itself. The first Goliath. A gulper eel the size of the screen, lunging forward with jaws that could swallow us in one bite. And just like the creature we escaped from at the start, the game makes absolutely sure we understand the scale. We are an ant. This life form is something that doesn't even acknowledge us as anything other than a quick snack. We can't fight it directly. That's just not how this world works. Instead, we have to bait it, get it to lunge at the right moment, guide those jaws into the large rock suspended around the arena, and repeat that a couple of times until the Titan finally goes down. And then something happens that I wasn't expecting. We start to absorb it. We take the light from its eyes, and suddenly strange runes and symbols spiral out around the diver. And we're transported somewhere else entirely. A strange in-between space, filled with machines and bathed in a kind of divine light. We swim through it until a massive structure opens ahead of us, draws us inside, and closes. We're in a temple now. Ancient carvings line the walls, statues of what looks like some kind of fox-like civilization, and they're holding something familiar. The helmets of divers. Some of the statues are even built entirely out of gear and bodies. I don't know what that means yet, but whoever these beings were, they didn't want to share this place. Whatever happened to this world, it happened to the people who were here before us, and someone built monuments out of what was left of them. We find a mural carved with the image of the gulper eel. We position ourselves to match it, and it slowly starts lighting up. The scene then changes to a huge machine that seems to be waking up. We're in a coral forest now, a dense, overgrown biome packed with strange vegetation. I'm convinced this is where the next Goliath is. Time to go find it. The environment is completely different here. The inorganic dark of the first biome gave way to something that looks almost alive in a different way, with plant life, toxic clouds, and carnivorous flora. The puzzles here are more layered. We possess small fish and swim them through toxic clouds to infect them, and then we sacrifice them to the plants to spread the disease and free the path. At other times, there are these slender fishes to slip past danger with their speed. We even possess a swarm of smaller fish together, controlling them as a group to use their mass to carry the infection through obstacles that a single creature couldn't survive. There are more statues of the ancient fox race down here too, with a school of small fish gathered around it. Something about it feels ominous. The possession mechanic is expanding, and the more it expands, the stranger the implications become. We're using the life forms as weapons against each other. We're using them as disposable means to an end. And this is what's so strange about Silt as a game. It came out in 2022 to a pretty quiet reception. It just appeared and people moved on. And I can kind of understand why. It's short, it doesn't hold your hand, it certainly doesn't give an explanation on most of its world building. It sounds like a game you'd forget about, and yet here we are. Because what Silt does better than almost any game is make you feel the weight of a world that simply does not care you're in it. Like here at the center of this biome where I found this massive tree, clearly dead, but still the structural heart of the area. 4 strange creatures need worms and they're hidden in the surrounding areas. I'm so used to a villain or a mystery with an answer at the end, but this game just keeps descending, hopeless and indifferent. So I'm navigating around more hungry plants and tight paths until I find the final worm. And when I deliver it, the tree responds, and the second great Goliath appears. This is the Kraken tree, a massive leviathan with tentacles and a gaping mouth that pulls everything towards it. The fight requires infecting a swarm of fish in the toxic clouds below and then swimming into its beak to poison it from the inside. After that, it releases an organic bulb from its mouth that we can absorb to open the rune chamber again. Another eye taken, so we go deeper. We're back at the temple, and it's starting to make more sense the more I think about it. Those statues that appear throughout the last biome too, they're unmistakably the same civilization. Whatever it is they built here, they built it everywhere in this world. And the divers keep appearing in their carvings, always smaller, always beneath them. It's disturbing, but I'm starting to get a feeling what our role in all of this actually was. And then we release the power we just absorbed into the mural that's connected to the colossal machine. And then we're somewhere I didn't think I'd see at the bottom of an ocean. Through enormous windows, we can see an abandoned industrial zone stretching out into the dark, completely replacing the underwater forest. Conveyor belts, generators, cables running along the floor like veins, and all of it is sitting at the bottom of the loneliest ocean I have ever experienced. Someone built this down here. That thought kept bothering me as I moved through it. The machines have a purpose, but they're in an idle state. The moment we start possessing the creatures down here, we help the systems come back online. Power flows through the cables. Mechanisms start moving. Whatever this place was built for, it's been sitting here in the dark, just waiting for someone to wake it up again. And this is the chapter where Silt's loneliness peaks, because at least the organic biomes felt natural and alive. This place feels like it's been waiting in the dark for centuries. There are new creatures here too. Manta rays that can dash clean through solid structures. An electric eel that can charge generators. Crabs that ride elevators and tear through spikes. The puzzles get significantly more complex. We're managing multiple creatures across the same space, leaving one in position while operating another, timing possessions against machines that move on their own schedule. And then we enter an air shaft and we go down, just down into the dark depths of this factory, until we land in what I can only describe as an eerie scrapyard. Broken machinery piled up like something has been collecting it for years. And when we move towards the center of it, a giant mechanical crab emerges from behind the scrap. This is the third Goliath. It's literally wired into the walls with cables running from its body into generators on both sides of this pit. Piranhas through the cables, a manta ray to quickly get to the other side, and then the most stressful part. We need an electric eel to charge both generators simultaneously before the crab can shut one of them down. When it works, the crab lowers itself onto its own power sources. It electrocutes itself. We approach with the eel to finish what it started, and, well, the fan below it is still running. We have to follow it down through the blades to complete the possession. So here we are at the bottom of this abandoned factory. The crab is barely holding on, but we're here to absorb the last remaining life it has. Back through the sacred sea into the temple to complete the ritual. This lonely, forgotten world is slowly starting to make more sense. The machinery, the murals, the statues holding diver helmets, I think it's all connected. It doesn't seem like this Fox civilization lived alongside the divers. I think it's clear now that they were using them. The ability to possess creatures, to drain their life force, was a great power source. So the great machine this game keeps coming back to was built to run on that power. But when something went wrong with this world, when the ocean swallowed everything and those masters disappeared, the divers were left down here, chained and waiting. Perhaps the prophecy is telling them exactly how to finish the job. This biome captures the exact moment where the natural ocean floor has physically overgrown and buried an ancient dead machine. The massive silhouettes of gear and hanging iron chains reveal that this underwater ecosystem was once a colossal, functioning industrial engine. We're swimming through the rotting corpse of a civilization. The creatures here match the environment. Bobbit worms erupt from the floor without warning, grabbing anything that dares to swim above them. them, making these narrow passages we're in almost impossible to pass. The only way through is by possessing the bioluminescent parasites drifting through the water. Everywhere you look, you can see these small, fragile things that explode on contact. It's tight and close and relentless down here with these passages where something is always chasing, always hungry, always right behind the diver's small body. We're being chased and going as fast as we can, but eventually the tunnel opens up into something I didn't think I'd see in this abyss. A bioluminescent shaft dropping straight down into the dark. Enormous glowing worms emerging slowly from the cave walls on both sides. Their light catching in the water in a way that is, despite everything, kind of beautiful. We navigate down to get past them carefully, using the parasites to clear the ones that block the path, descending through what feels like the very last place anything was ever meant to reach. And when we finally reach the bottom, there's this massive shell. Tentacles extend from it into the surrounding rooms, one of them ending in a huge glowing bulb that we can use to light blockages before blowing them apart. We're not even trying to fight this thing, we're just using it, constantly letting this world's own biology work against itself. Similarly, in another room, we can lure a worm into attacking one of the tentacles. Our tactic works immediately and the tentacle quickly retracts back to the center. Now that both tentacles are damaged, we can see what monstrosity is waiting for us inside the shell. So we return to the deepest point of this inky abyss and the shell slowly begins to open. The final Goliath, known as the Gloom Flower, is here. Two enormous tentacles fire the explosive parasites at us, and by now we know exactly what to do with them. We possess them mid-flight and guide them back towards the head of that creature. 3 hits in total, and it's over. The final Goliath falls. We possess it, and so the last eye is taken. For the final time, we return to the divine waters. The machine opens and we swim back into the ancient temple, past the statues, past the helmets, past the bodies of every diver who came before us and never made it out, to the final mural where we take our position. The temple lights up, and this time it's everything at once. Every mural we've activated across all 4 chapters, all of them are powered up simultaneously, lightning arcing between them as the machine finally does what it was built to do. Beams of light shoot outward in every direction, north, east, southwest, and the camera keeps pulling back, showing us the full scale of what we just set in motion. Something has been waiting for this moment for a very long time. And then slowly, divers begin rising toward the surface, from where it all started in the caverns, from the sunken forest, from the machine ruins, from the abyssal zone, one by one ascending through the dark. And at the center of all of them is our diver, swimming upward through complete darkness with every other diver following behind her. The prophecy is fulfilled. The eyes are taken. The machine is awake. Here we are at the end of a game that nobody talks about, and in a strange way to me, that feels right. Silt isn't a title that wants to be loud. It doesn't build a community. There's been no drama, discourse, or even a moment designed to go viral. Gameplay-wise, it's honestly a pretty unremarkable experience that just sits at the bottom of a store page, hoping for a few people who scroll down deep enough to find it. And what those people find is a world that has been waiting for a very long time. A civilization that rose and fell, leaving nothing behind but ruins and a prophecy. They find a diver with no name descending into the darkness all alone. I think that's why this game stuck with me. Not every release needs to be the scariest or most ambitious title on the market. Sometimes you'll see that the atmosphere a game is able to build is beautiful in the loneliest, most forgotten way imaginable. So as always, thank you for watching. I have a channel for shorts as well now, so if you want more bite-sized cosmic content, make sure to check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date. And I'll see you in the next cosmic lore video.